This is independent.ie. We're at the 106th PGA Championships, and I'm sitting in the back of a chauffeur-driven Lexus heading for Valhalla. It's almost 30 years since I covered my first PGA Championship. Here's the introduction to the piece I wrote that week. In the current edition of Golf Digest, in a series of Ryder Cup profiles titled Europe's Upset Specials, 26-year-old Padraig Harrington is introduced to the American public as one of the interesting characters on the European Tour. This fellow, they write, has a mind all of his own. It's Thursday evening at Wingfoot Golf Club in Marmaret, New York, and as he stands before the microphones, chewing a muesli bar with a big grin on his face, it isn't hard to see how they arrived at that conclusion. How did it go, Padraig? Nah, didn't play particularly well. I struggled, just hitting the ball right. Did you get a sting on your hand on the second tee? No, a burn. John, his caddy John O'Reilly, had a cigarette in his hand and I walked into it. I think he did it on purpose because I three-putted the first. Were you mad? Nah, it was quite funny really. Do you think you can make up the lost ground? I'll be trying, but it'll be hard. If you're not on top of your game on a course like this, you're going to struggle. There's no hiding. It doesn't give you an inch. What do you think of that driver?
It's a story I've forgotten. There you go. I didn't realise Johnny had burnt me. I've heard stories of players burning the caddy, not the caddy burning the player. I do remember Wingfoot. It was just too tough for me at the time. It was quite a shock. The truth of it is I was probably starstruck or startled by the whole major thing, your first major.
Before we got into the car, we met Brandel Chambly in the lobby, and he actually played in that major, as did Jack Nicklaus, Tom Watson, Ben Crenshaw, Nick Faldo, and Alathabal.
You saying I'm old?
Well, I'm trying to do it gently. Well, Brandel said that he's seen a video of your swing back then compared to now, and he was trying to be kind, but he said he didn't even look like a good amateur.
Well, yeah, that would be true, the swing-wise. I'm sure if I looked at it myself, I often say, when I turned pro my first event, the pro I was playing with went into the clubhouse at the K Club and told everybody that, why is this guy turning pro? He's just not good enough. And some people would go, that's pretty harsh, isn't it? It was home club, K Club. But if I looked at myself back then, I would have said the same thing. I didn't. I definitely didn't have a very pretty swing. I didn't hit it very well. I didn't strike it very well. But most of my, up to then, and a lot of my golfing career, it's been about getting the result and just doing the job and getting the score done. And that's what's great about golf. I would have needed, if I was playing another sport, I would have needed the Moneyball guys to be around to figure out, actually, this guy doesn't look very good but performs well.
So if someone had told you were going to win a major, it felt like, and I don't want to be unkind about this, but it felt like an achievement that you were there, that you were actually playing in the PGA Championships in 1997. That felt an achievement as an outsider looking at you, right?
Again, this is, as I said, I'm glad that I would have done a lot better in The Voice. That would be, if I was I wouldn't have succeeded on the X Factor. I would have succeeded on The Voice, where they couldn't have seen my golf swing.
Sure.
Yeah, I've never turned up at a major and been happy to be there.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Like even now, I'm not turning up at majors and thinking, and I wonder sometimes a little bit about that. Is it, there is going to come a time, where I have to come to a major and wave goodbye and enjoy it for the sake of me just being there.
Yeah. But not at the moment.
Not at the moment. No, it's never been the case that I've turned up and it doesn't matter what the reality of it is. Clearly, when I turned up my first ones, I was turning up to play my very best golf. I would have been, I look back and I would have been doing every bit of panicking that could possibly be in the event. So yeah, it's not like I would have I wouldn't have been I would have been overawed by the whole situation.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And people talk about dreams all the time. That was my dream. That was my dream. I don't imagine you ever dreaming of lifting the Wanamaker Trophy or lifting the Claret Jug.
No. I find it very hard when I'm asked who was my role models, and they want me to say, I watched this tournament as an amateur, as a kid, and I admired this person, and I wanted to be this guy. I didn't watch sport when I played. My role models were always what was in front of me. I never ever learned whatever, and I did go to I went to the Irish Open as a kid, and I went to the odd event, but I only ever learned from what was right there in front of me.
Right. Now you talking about role models and heroes. It's Wednesday morning, day before the first round. We're driving to the course, and you were up last night. You had a bit of a do, as we'd say back home.
I was last man to leave. Yeah.
You were last to leave. This is the Champions Dinner.
Yeah.
I have have you seen the photograph? They obviously have a photograph outside on the terrace.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And you're standing between Martin Keimer and Jimmy Walker, I think. And I'm going to ask you about your attire. That Don Johnson look, the white suit.
It wasn't a white suit.
That's very un-Padraig.
It was a navy. It was navy pants and a white jacket.
With Don Johnson looking though. Do you know who Don Johnson is? Miami Vice.
Of course it did. You used to have to keep really quiet on a Monday evening. Miami Vice came on at 10 o'clock, and if you went into school on Tuesday without having watched Miami Vice, you are not a cool kid. So that was the whole purpose of a Monday evening, was just play your cards right so you could watch Miami Vice.
Okay, now did that inspire the jacket? Don't tell me you bought that for yourself.
Of course I didn't buy it for myself. It was a cream linen jacket. It was Churchill Downs. I thought it was very appropriate. No.
So we'll blame Caroline. Okay, we're getting near the course now. What does it feel like driving up here as a past champion?
Yeah, you get a past champion's parking spot. That's quite nice.
Yeah.
That's probably the best of it. So there's a general parking for the players, and there's obviously nearer to the clubhouse. The nearest parking is reserved for the past champions. You get your name, and you kind of, every time you run down, you can see who else is the past champions who are here. I think that's the best of it. There's my spot, and sometimes people will, the marshals or will direct you to the normal car park, and you kind of go, no, I'm okay, I'm parking right here. They have no clue, but I'm taking a little bit of enjoyment out of it.
Absolutely. Why not? When you got it flaunted, isn't that what they say?
You know what? I will say yes. As I go on in my career, and I remind everybody I can, any of the younger guys, you don't win as much as you think you're going to win. So when you do win, you better really make the effort to enjoy it. And I say effort to enjoy it because, there are times you win and you think this is going to keep happening, and you finish up on a Sunday, you've won a tournament, and you're thinking about what you're going to work on the next day, sort of thing, which the wins don't happen that much. You've got to really enjoy it, and it's good for your psyche as well, that every time you win, if you enjoy it, it's telling your brain, hey, this is worthwhile, I want to do this again.
Now, you gave a small interview to some of the media after the round yesterday, some of the Irish lads, and you were asked about the three majors, and you gave an interesting description in terms of how you felt after winning each of them. Do you want to remind us what that was?
Yeah, I there were always three different feelings. Your first is always the most exciting. 2008 winning Carnoustie, you win a major, but there's an issue with winning a major. Big issue with winning a major. It becomes a big burden to every player when they win a major, because you're trying to live up to it. And I also messed up the 72nd hole. So even worst case, I was as much as it was exciting, I was very worried, like everybody does, a one and done. And if that was my one and done, because I messed up the 72nd hole, people would have held it against me. Oh, look, he only got one, he got lucky, or if winning is winning, and that's why I won it. But there's a lot of, as a kid, you wouldn't have dreamed to have won your first major like that. So winning the second one was very satisfying.
Right.
It was validation for the first one.
Right.
See,
I always feel when you do it once, all you have to do is a great thing once, and that's all that matters. You do a great thing once and nothing else matters. You've done it. You've got the T-shirt, as they say.
Yes, but that's only when you retire.
Sure.
So when you're playing, you're trying to live up to it. You're trying to live up to a false expectation that you have. You're trying to live up to a false expectation of what other people think of you. Their expectation is false, but your expectation of what they're thinking is just off the charts false.
Sure.
So it's a real burden, and we've seen most golfers who end up at one. It's tough on their golfing career for a long time.
Right.
But when they retire or they go into that element, it's a huge bonus that they won one. Winning two is validation, it's satisfaction. I played great. I was the favourite. There was so much about it in the last group. There was a bit of hype with Greg Norman. I hit the great shot in the 71st hole. It was if you were going to write it down as a teenager, how you would win a major, that's how you write it down.
Right.
Then came straight away. I was playing great when I got to Oakland Hills, and I did everything right, but it was just too much.
What was too much?
After winning, it's only 3 weeks later or so, it was just too much for me. I got incredibly dehydrated, even though I was doing everything right on the back nine of both my first two rounds. Played unbelievable front nine, and it was like a different person turned up.
Right.
So a couple of lucky things. We got rain, softened the golf course up, which helped me for sure. On the weekend we got a rain delay, which gave me an extra day. So I only played 9 holes on Saturday, played great, and gave me an extra day's recovery. And I remember, this is back in the days when I probably was practicing too much. When did that ever stop? But I knew to take it easy. So I rested up for the Sunday. I came out and I played great again. But the interesting thing about me playing great for that last 36 holes, I shot back-to-back 66s. I had the fear of God in me, because I'd hit some really awful shots on the Friday.
Right.
And I had played, I don't think I hit every shot with complete fear. Right. Anything could have come off. So it was nothing like Birkdale.
Right.
It was nothing like the control where I was. I was in full panic mode, didn't know where it would go, and hitting great shots, but there was zero confidence in my game. And
you do it.
Well, I thought I had a great chance all day. I was getting to lead. I was playing with, it was interesting with myself and Sergio, even though they didn't redraw, so we weren't in the last group, but we were competing away, and I got into the lead, I remember, and then just everything. Sergio was playing great, and every time he made a mistake, he recovered. So it just looked like his day. Yeah. And by the time we got to that 16th, normally, I was just doing my own thing. I changed my strategy on 16 to be more aggressive down there, and hit it down there. I'm like 40 yards. Sergio had hit an iron. I'm like 40 yards past him, and I wasn't watching him. I kind of given up on him. I don't know what. It was all about me at that stage, and
it's always all about you.
I kind of was in mode. Well, I've got to make all these birdies to win this. He's not going to. It wasn't so much match play at that stage. It was me having to force the issue, and he hit that iron shot in the water. It was a huge shock to me. Yeah. And it was massive distraction to me. Yeah. Because I've only hit 9 iron in there, and I hit a terrible shot in I hit it like 40 yards left of the flag into the back bunker. I was really thrown out of my rhythm by it.
Yeah.
I couldn't, but like, it just was not expecting it. Now, thankfully, I actually, as things go, I hit a good bunker shot, but I got a stone in the face, so it went 15 feet by, hold a 15-footer, and then on the next I hit a great shot in. Sergio follows me, hits a great shot in. We go up. I've gone 15 feet by. Sergio is 3 feet from the hole. So I hole, he misses, and all of a sudden I've got the one-shot lead going down the last. And you know, again, I was in the horrors there. I was in absolute horrors. All I could think of on that tee shot was Phil Mickelson hitting it out of bounds when he was playing foursomes with Tiger Woods down the left.
And how did it feel? Exhilarated. Exhilaration is the word you used yesterday.
Oh yes, absolutely. So in sport, I got an exciting one. My first one, I got a satisfying one. My second one, and the third one, I grabbed it. I stole it. It was ugly. You know, that one that, you know, if it went another 3 holes, I wasn't winning. If it was 3 holes earlier, I wasn't winning.
Right.
I was in the right place, and I just got the job done right at the end. I grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and took it.
And in terms of comparing it to other things you've done in your career, well, that must have been the greatest buzz ever, wasn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely the hard fought, the ones that aren't yours are always the best.
Yeah.
You know, the ones that you just, you know, like I watch it in sport. You know, you're watching a football match or a rugby match. It's the ones that you know, maybe you should have lost that you win. You know, it's definitely the ones that you dig the deepest for, that you enjoy the most.
Yeah.
And as I said, the one that I played the best in was deep down satisfying.
Right.
But you know, it was just sheer determination that got me across the line, and probably, you know, not competitiveness, but just knowing myself and knowing that you'll get an opportunity. You might mess up that opportunity, and this always happens when you get in contention. You'll always look back, and sometimes you might get 2 opportunities, and if you take one of them, you're going to win. And I took it that day. I just grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and said, "This is mine. I'm winning this." And like, it's amazing, on the 18th green, it was comfortable.
Well, that was brilliant, Padraig. And there are those who might suggest that you're here to make up the numbers this week. We would never do. We would never do that. We know you're not thinking that.
Well, no, I'm happy with people who think like that. That's, if I was at home, I'd be cynical and think that way myself. But as an athlete, you know, you have to create some story around yourself. You have to create your own reality, and we all do it. Some do it negatively, some do it positively. But you know, we do it, so why not control that narrative? And in my head, I'm here to compete, do my stuff. I'm polite and say that I'm trying to catch lightning in a bottle, just not to come across as stupid. But you know, in my head, I'm here to play my best golf, and there's no reason I can't. It's not a physical thing. So hopefully we get our head in the right place.